Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of 15-Minute Free Thinking. My name is Carpo, or Joshua, and today I will be talking to you about a person that I don't really like very much. And I'm not sure how to even start this video. This podcast is going to be somewhat of, I'm sure it will be abrasive to some people. Let's put it that way. I know that a lot of folks out there have very strong feelings politically, and I have been very cautious. In fact, I've come out here to make this video like 3 or 4 times, and I was originally just going to make a YouTube video, but I decided to make this a podcast because whether or not I upload it, this is how I really feel right now about politics, if you will, in my country, in the United States of America. Let me start off by saying I'm a fucking red-blooded American. I like barbecues. I like hiking in the woods. I like shooting. You know, I grew up going out and going camping on these long camping trips with my dad out in the desert. I've gone out, to the coast and gone to the mountains. Every part of this area, the Pacific Northwest, I fucking love. Every part of this country that I've been to is so unique. And the people in it, I have this strong reverence for being an American citizen. And the culture, even though people say America has no culture, really that just means that we're abandoning the culture we did have. So let's just say I'm not a good old boy, but I'm definitely in that realm, okay? I'll listen to Leonard Skinner, right? So over the last, I guess, probably 8-10 years now, I haven't really had the interest to talk politics. The few times that I did on my channel, people got butthurt, right? They got upset because I didn't like Trump. And that usually is what it was. But even if I have an opinion that's valid on something, often I'll keep it to myself and process it. And I'll really try to think, okay, am I overreacting to this? Is this something that maybe, maybe just seems different than it is and it'll be fine? And I spent the last year basically defending Trump. Funny enough, as much as I didn't like him, I played the devil's advocate with my friends, and I have a friend group with 4 people, including myself. 2 are liberals of different, grades. I'm not sure, I guess. One who's kind of pretty far left, Democrat, forever kind of attitude. The other's like, well, the Democrats are better. Then I have a friend who's a conservative, and then I'm like a moderate or independent. And I really don't know how to feel about the current election situation or where we ended up, and just kind of left it alone and said, I'm going to hope for the best. And I'm going to say, maybe things won't be as bad as people think. And I'd rather be positive about the future for America because Trump won, and here we are. And then he took Elon on board. Now, this opened up a whole new Pandora's box for me because I don't like Elon Musk, and this has nothing to do with his current position. This goes back. You can ask my wife. We've had debates about Elon Musk for, years. I do not like the guy. I've never trusted him. He's made a ton of promises that didn't come through, and I'm not saying that it's wrong to dream and not be able to accomplish your dream. But this guy is like the king of empty promises. And when people say, he's the founder of Tesla, the founder of SpaceX, it's being dishonest because he's not the founder of any of these companies or PayPal. He was an investor in these companies, and now he's owners of these companies. But having money is different than actually inventing or creating something yourself. So here we have this guy who people basically consider the world's genius. And what has he really done besides had money and bought Twitter and then kick people off he didn't like after talking so much about censorship. So, this brings me to last week. I don't even know why I'm making this podcast, honestly, but during the inauguration, he he made a fucking Hitler salute. And it's funny because you would call it whatever you want, fascist salute. But some people have been calling it a Roman salute, which is a completely misinformed, because that wasn't really a Roman salute. And so here's what it comes down to. He did a salute where he pounded his chest and put his hand out with his, his fingers straight out and his thumb folded, just like a Nazi salute, right? With a stern look on his face after saying, I love you. Do I believe that he's a Nazi? No. I believe that Elon was trolling America, the world, by doing that. I believe it was a troll move. He calls himself the king of trolls, Mr. Keck, right? He prides himself on being a troll. So why wouldn't people think that that would be his intention? So here's my thought. We have one of the world's most powerful people, well, the world's most powerful person and his little lap pet, Elon, but you could say that it's the other way around, depending on, kind of which perspective you take. But here we have the world's richest man in charge of government efficiency, basically dealing with business. A guy who got billions of dollars in subsidies from your tax dollars, yours and mine, for his company, and then actually went out and argued against subsidies for other companies. This is a guy who wants to be loved and respected so bad that he's willing to, as of last week, it was discovered, pay somebody to, or maybe they did it for free, I don't know, but he claimed he was the world's best gamer on several games. I'm not a gamer myself. I believe it was like Diablo 4 and I can't recall the other one, but he claimed to be the best gamer in the world, or like in the top 10. And it turned out that somebody else had actually played the account, got him to that point, and he was pretending to be an expert at these games to get respect. So I want to ask anybody who's an Elon fan, can you really justify this? Like, I'm not a big gamer, but I know the gaming community. I used to play games all the time. When there was a cheater in our midst, let's just say that was just the worst kind of person, you could imagine. And here you have a guy who has everything. Everything, He can dig tunnels through the fucking earth. He can make electric cars with his company and design anything he wants. Even invent a shitty Cybertruck that obviously is going to fall apart. And yet we have so many people who claim he's a genius. And I'm trying to understand this. When I argue for, or rather against, the hate of Trump and the hate of the right, I constantly hear people talking about how they have a cult-like attitude. And I say, come on, that's not all of them do. But when somebody says some of them do, or many of them do, and you look at some of the people at the rallies and the way that they speak about topics, they have no idea what they're saying, I'm not talking about some YouTube interview where they just pick out the dumbest people, plenty of those. But when you really get down to it and you debate people, you find they don't have a lot. I don't usually myself. That's why I don't make a lot of bold claims about my big problems. I'm very open. I have no need to change things unless I know for sure that they're actually harmful or beneficial. And when you have somebody in charge of any position in the government, who is the richest man in the world and can enrich his business. And then the president of the United States is a billionaire. And 2 days before his inauguration, he releases a crypto coin. And then his wife does, and his son does. I feel like it's not that I'm living in the twilight zone. I feel like I finally understand how hypnosis works, because so many people are going to disagree with me. I'll probably have a lot of subscribers who don't like what I'm saying, just even though I'm trying to be as reasonable as possible and rational. I'm not here to hate on anybody. As I said, I've been defending Trump because I wanted to have hope that things would be better. I have Democratic friends who are freaking out about tariffs and other ones that are freaking out about, deportation. And I've said, let's just see what happens first. You know, we do have issues with borders. We do have issues with, immigration. It's out of control. It has been for the last couple of years. We know this. We can look at the statistics. But is that the biggest issue in this country? What's going on with, our military, our world position, we have a lot to think about in this modern world. There's a lot going on out there, and we are hanging on by a fucking thread. If there's any kind of a disaster and the lights go out, a solar flare, an EMP, I know a lot of folks don't realize this, but and it's not to make anything fearful, but more than it is already, right? I grew up at the end of the Cold War, and I didn't really understand it, and I still don't understand it, or I do, but I realized a lot of it was bullshit. But this idea that my parents learned how to hide under their desks from nuclear explosions, and they learned how to deal with fallout, things like this. By the time my generation came around, they felt a little safer, and so we weren't taught that. We had like earthquake drills and shit like that, but not fallout drills. And now with the science we have and the testing they've done, all the countries agreed not to do any explosions in space, because the one they did over Hawaii, up in space, took out like, thousands of miles of electronics. Hawaii went completely dark. This was, I think, in the 50s. But they realized that if you launch one nuke into high altitude and detonate it, 2 or 3 of them could take out the entire U.S. grid. With that, you don't even need to drop any on the ground. So let's just say that if something like that were to happen, if people don't know how to come together and respect each other, and you're still arguing with your neighbor over his Biden or his Trump sign, let's just be assured that you'll probably get over that pretty quick when it really comes down to it, right? People aren't going to care about their political affiliations or which president they were associated with if they're faced with a major catastrophe and everything's in ruins, right? Whatever it might be. And these things happen for all of us. Imagine the fires, in Cali, or, if there's a big earthquake here in the Northwest. People will help each other out, and they won't ask, what's your political affiliation, before they pull you out from burning wreckage. So it just shows that there's something stronger between us. We don't have to fight about stupid shit. But if we have leadership that is going to troll the public by doing a Nazi salute, completely well aware of what they're doing. I've heard people make the worst excuses for this. It was the Roman salute, as I mentioned before. That's not a real thing. It wasn't. It's bad history. This is considered the fascist salute, also used by Mussolini. But beyond that, I believe it was, just an ultimate troll attempt during a very important day for people. And I think that we deserve better. Being autistic is not an excuse, you know. And if that's the case, do you want somebody who's autistic in charge of business? I don't know. I feel like people want to use the victim card when it suits them, but the rest of the time they want to be coherent and strong. And I want to make this clear. I don't hate on people just because they're rich. I was just thinking about this. I was thinking I respect Warren Buffett and like Charlie Munger. They're billionaires that have, I don't know, I think Charlie Munger's a billionaire too. But they do these annual discussions where they sit down and they tell, young people how to go about business and investing, and they do it for free, and they enjoy their money because they like making money. But they're not assholes. They mind their own business. They don't have to get the public's attention and get everybody to love them. And that's something I can respect. I don't know what they do with their money or what kind of people they help or whatnot. I do have an issue with money being concentrated by a few. But then you have a guy like Elon who has everything going for him, but he wants to do something just to get attention at every turn. And it's something that Trump does as well. It's, narcissism at its worst. So those are my thoughts on Elon and on Trump and the whole thing. I still hope for the best. I hope that my country can improve in any way, shape, or form. I hope that inflation will go down. I know it won't. I'm not dumb. We're heading for a disaster regardless, but I'm not going to blame Trump just for that disaster. This is something that's been ongoing for years. But I have noticed that people want to support and say, if their president is in office and things are good, it's from them. If somebody else is in office and they don't like the president, then if things are good, then, well, things aren't good. They're just bad. Or it's from the past president. It's this ongoing bullshit argument about who's better. And the truth is, none of them really seem to care. And even if they do, they don't know what's best for all of us. So, I don't know. I guess we deserve better. That's my opinion. What do you think? Let me know. And don't be butthurt by my opinions on Elon or Trump. I don't hate you if you believe that they're better people than I think they are. And if you want to contribute to the discussion, I'm not going to hate you because you like one or the other. I actually like the fact that they're both blatantly honest. I just think their honesty is misguided and wrong. That's the thing. I don't agree with them, but I like that we have honesty. So it's kind of like January 6th. I've always wanted people to invade the Capitol, but I wanted them to do it for the right reasons. Like for the freedom of all Americans and freedom of speech, not for a president that feels like he was cheated from an election. That's where we're at as a country, and we need to do better. So, peace, love. Thanks for listening. If you want to support, I've got the Patreon, Carpo719, or my Carpo719 YouTube channel. The podcast is called 15 Minute Free Thinking. And, hey, if you're a Trump supporter, much love, no hate. I got one of my best friends is a Trump supporter. And I know people close to me who are, so it doesn't matter to me who you support. What matters is whether you support your neighbor. And much love to you all. Peace and love.